of it. Enjoy the money.
Thanks for being with us. Look forward to seeing you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight, never before seen.
Set an ambo for me.
An unlicensed driver's reckless getaway, the dramatic moment he struck a policeman. No fine, no draft penalties. So how did the AFL punish the Crows for the Barossa breach? We're live to Adelaide Oval. From shark tours to cafe dining, businesses roll out the welcome mat as COVID restrictions ease. The best credit card deals with no interest to pay, getting you back on track. And freedom at last for Danny, South Australia's best-dressed koala.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Jane Doyle.
Good evening. 7 News has been given extraordinary access to extraordinary police video of the moment an officer was run over by an unlicensed driver fleeing an RBT station. The courts heard he panicked and made a reckless getaway, dragging the senior constable under his car.
A routine RBT set up in the early hours of New Year's Day 2019. All of a sudden, this.
Go! Get a fleet! Get a fleet, you
Senior Constable Samuel Petts cries out in agony.
It's dragged me off the road, Mick. Set an ambo for me.
Police had tried to flag down a Mazda sedan, but it wasn't stopping. Constable Petts is seen flying over the bonnet. As he reaches in to try to take the keys, he falls to the ground and is dragged along the road, suffering serious injuries.
This is your leg? Where's my leg?
The driver of that vehicle, Armand Quencia, sped away with Officer Petts' colleagues in hot pursuit. The drama captured on police dash cam and a body-worn camera. Quencia was arrested the following day. Today he told a judge he panicked because he was already on a good behaviour bond and didn't have a licence.
22-year-old men sometimes don't engage brain. Clearly he's incredibly sorry.
The dramatic incident is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by police on the front line every day. Prosecutors say the judge needs to send a strong message when Quincy is sentenced on Friday that police must be protected. Deanna Williams, 7 News.
Crows assistant Ben Hart has paid a heavy price after the club broke the AFL's strict training rules in the Barossa. Theo Doropoulos joins us. The league's come down hard on Hart. What's the penalty, Theo?
That's right, Jane. Well, he's been whacked with a 6-week ban for failing to keep players training under the AFL strict 2-man limitations. Now, that means he's not able to contact any players or access the club until late June. So, while Hart is the sacrificial lamb, the players in the Barossa have also escaped a serious penalty. They've copped a suspended 1-game sentence, while the club also avoided a fine, loss of premiership points or draft picks. Now, the reason the penalty isn't as harsh as first expected is the league's investigation found the Crows didn't gain any competitive advantage and that it was just an honest mistake. Meanwhile, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews has given the AFL the green light to ramp up training in groups of 10. The same is already allowable in South Australia.
Once training is up and running again, that paves the way for the AFL and other codes to make announcements. So training resuming paves the way for footy to be back, and I think we all want that.
So now it's up to the AFL to lift its 2-man training limit. That's expected to happen when players around the country finish their 2-week isolation period. Most of them are around about halfway through now, so a week to go. The AFL will announce its full return to play plan later this week. Jane.
Thanks, Theo. Customers ventured out for sit-down meals and coffee as restrictions were eased today. But despite hospitality industry fears that they'll still struggle, the Premier's ruled out any alcohol service until the 8th of June.
Tables, chairs and limited customers returned in perfect sunshine to footpaths outside some popular city eating spots today. The food was there all right, but not a drop of alcohol in sight.
Normally we would.
Nice South Australian red.
Didn't really matter.
It did to him.
Yeah.
The Premier had a seat reserved for him at a Parkside cafe. Coffee's not the only thing brewing in the hospitality industry. Larger venues want greater numbers allowed in and alcohol service to justify opening. Unlike the West, we're slower to act, but it's not likely before June the 8th.
We'd love to do it earlier, but at this stage what we're opening up for is a bit of outdoor dining, which might be linked to somebody that's doing takeaway.
That inconsistency with what's occurring in Western Australia does raise some legitimate questions within that industry.
This is not good for South Australia if everyone's just shutting their doors. We're going to keep moving forward.
Strict rules were followed at every venue 7 News visited today.
It feels more special than taking takeaway home and sitting on the couch.
I feel kind of, giddy. I feel like I shouldn't really be here. It feels strange.
Much nicer being able to sit out here, especially on such a nice morning.
In terms of turnover, we're down 80%.
But ground rules apply, sanitising everything to cope with a fast turnaround of customers.
At the moment, we're taking bookings only, and they're for 45 minutes.
Libraries are also allowed 10 people at a time.
We have people for whom the library is really their second home.
It's something I've missed a real lot.
Let's just hope by next month there'll be a greater appetite all round. Mike Smithson, 7 News.
Browsing is banned and change rooms are closed. That's the new shopping experience that awaits amid the coronavirus pandemic. Elspeth Hussey's live in Rundle Mall, and dozens of retailers have emerged from hibernation today.
They have, Jane, but some aren't quite as we remember them before. In some stores, cash is banned and you can't try on the clothes. But the toughest measure is this ban on browsing, which for some is how they love to shop. At cosmetic store Mecca, an assistant meets you at the door, takes you to the item you want, then the till, then escorts you straight back out. Others have installed sneeze guards at the checkout and have strict customer limits in place. Many stores have taken the leap and reopened in the past couple of days, including Saba, Forever New, Whitner and Sportscraft, while the popular Zara at Burnside welcomed back customers again today too, along with DeCuba. What have you been buying today?
We went to the Rebel, makeup and the cameras. We are so happy.
Definitely nice to see some shops and some restaurants opening up.
I'm happy because I can go and spend money that I haven't spent in like a month.
Apple, for example, they're taking temperatures going in. Mecca are taking temperatures and giving out face masks.
An announcement about Myer's plans is thought to be imminent. It's already reopened stores in New South Wales and in Queensland, but beauty appointments and bra and shoe fittings are off limit. There is some added flexibility for customers, though, with some stores relaxing their returns policy, given you can't try before you buy. Jane.
Thanks, Elle. Desperate to bounce back from coronavirus, tourism operators across the state are rolling out the red carpet to entice visitors. In an extraordinary move, a Port Lincoln shark diving experience will even come to you.
It's one of the jewels in our tourism crown, but for many, simply getting there is a major hurdle. Well, not anymore.
We'll actually drive to Adelaide and pick you up. So in essence, we're doing takeaway shark cage diving.
Desperate to bounce back after coronavirus, tours will now depart the Glenelg Marina bound for the west coast. Customers will spend 2 days at sea exploring the region and its famous wildlife.
Jump on with us and we'll take you out to where the sharks are. We'll go swim with the seals.
If diving with sharks isn't for you, how about a stay at a South Australian caravan park? With intrastate tourism now encouraged, parks are already seeing an influx of visitors.
The phone's been ringing off the hook and we're really excited about welcoming people back.
Pete and Joy Bennett are rejoicing. Coronavirus had stalled their Around Australia trip. They can now hit the road, at least until they get to the border.
It does get a bit tiring just sitting in one spot, particularly when we're used to moving around a fair bit.
In Victor Harbour, signs of life after weeks looking like a ghost town with caravan parks filling up.
We got lots more to see, and the kids are wrapped to have everything back open.
Whilst allowing travel within the state is some good news for local tourism operators, many say it'll still be a struggle to stay afloat until state and international borders reopen.
We can't get back to business as usual or pre-COVID. It's only a slight lift.
Tim Yateman, 7 News.
Authorities have seized a dog they believe is responsible for a vicious attack on a stranger outside a Brighton laundromat. The animal was allowed to roam freely before it mauled the 53-year-old man as he walked by. The owner fled the scene with her pet, but police have since spoken to her. Holdfast Bay Council impounded the dog on Friday and investigations are continuing. The victim's undergone plastic surgery for his badly injured arm. Former AFL star Dean Laidley has been granted bail and will undergo rehab after it was revealed he has a drug habit that dates back to his coaching days. A court heard Laidley had a small amount of ice hidden in a bra when he was arrested on stalking charges.
In his own words, Dean Laidley has been self-sabotaging over the past 2 months. The court was told he needs help dealing with his sexual identity and a drug habit that began when he was an AFL assistant coach. 9 days ago, Laidley was arrested after allegedly stalking a person by taking photos of their home and car. The victim left petrified.
What he wants to do is just try to get some calm and peaceful time to sort himself out to. And he's actually ashamed of where he is and what he's at, and he'd just like to be a much better person.
Photos of Laidley in custody while wearing a wig and women's clothing sparked a police scandal. 4 officers have been stood down over the leaking of the images. It's claimed Laidley was caught with a small amount of the drug ice hidden in a bra.
He's a good person, he's not a bad person. At the moment, his main concern is his mental health.
The North Melbourne Life member drew on his footy connections as part of his application. The likes of Dennis Pagan, Mark Williams, Brent Harvey and Wayne Schwass provided character references.
He's lived in a cocoon for 30 years of his life, and when people get out of that environment, they get a bit adrift, and in his case, he got sadly adrift.
Laidley was granted bail in order to go into rehab for drug addiction and mental health. The AFL Players Association has offered to cover the costs. Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
A mother arrested during an anti-lockdown rally in Sydney says she's received an outpouring of support. Renee Altacruity, who took her 4-year-old son to the protest, was penalised for breaching social distancing laws. But today, not everyone was on her side.
Renee Altacruity, mother, business owner, protester. In trouble for breaching social distancing laws, brought in during the COVID lockdown, the very thing she was protesting against. And she brought her son.
Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest?
The 36-year-old kept her supporters updated when she was arrested and put into the back of a police paddy wagon.
They singled me out, they bullied me.
And upon her release.
Good morning all. I just wanted to do a quick post to say thank you so much for everyone's private messages of love and support.
Issued a $1,000 fine for breaching social distancing laws.
The right to protest is one of the basic tenets of democracy, and that should always be available.
But not when the public's being put at risk.
I didn't notice good social distancing at those protests.
Altacruity has accused police of being heavy-handed. Now police are investigating her after receiving reports she's been operating her cosmetic surgery business, which would be another breach of the law. Renee Altacruity was given the opportunity to talk on camera about what happened. She agreed to, but at a price. She wanted $10,000 to tell her side of the story.
Should you have had your child at the protest, Renee?
But it may not be the last we see of her.
Thank you for understanding. Love you all. Have a great day. Bye.
Police haven't ruled out laying further charges. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
Economists are predicting the biggest budget deficit in Australian history this year, more than $140 billion. Adding to the country's financial woes is the rebuild needed after last summer's devastating bushfires.
The fires may be out, but the challenges are still smouldering.
The impact of those bushfires was absolutely devastating.
Sending another $650 million in recovery funds to rebuild communities.
It's a locally led recovery, not a Canberra-led recovery, and we will be building back better.
A theme Labor leader Anthony Albanese also wants to guide the recovery from the coronavirus crisis.
A once-in-a-generation chance to reshape our economy.
Reshape and rebalance, arguing that those who have the least have suffered the most.
The broadest burden has been put on the narrowest shoulders.
Committing Labor to winding back the casualisation of the workforce and reviving manufacturing, as Deloitte Access Economics predicts budget deficits peaking at $143 billion this year and falling to $33 billion within 3 years.
People worry about those big deficits. They're good news, right? That's the budget taking care of families.
Treasury is planning to review the largest of those supports, the $130 billion JobKeeper scheme, but Scott Morrison says there are no plans to cut it or shut it down early.
All of this is very premature. We are 6 weeks into a 6-month program.
Treasurer Josh Frydenberg will deliver an economic update on that program when Parliament returns tomorrow, the traditional budget lock-up day, instead focusing on the coronavirus lockdown. Mark Riley, 7 News.
One of Australia's most prominent union leaders has died. Jack Mundy is being remembered as a union giant who helped save Sydney's historic Rocks precinct from the wrecking ball. The environmental activist took on developers in the 1970s as part of the Green Bans movement. Mr Mundy died aged 90. The coronavirus threat continues to hover over the White House, with Vice President Mike Pence the latest to take time away from work. But even so, the fight against stay-at-home orders is ramping up, with heavily armed protesters roaming the streets.
Demanding freedom from virus restrictions in North Carolina, parading weapons big and bigger, stopping for a bite to eat with shotguns and an inactive rocket launcher, these bystanders telling them to stay clear.
You trash people!
Keeping his distance, Vice President Mike Pence reportedly laying low for a day or two after an aide tested positive. With the White House exposed, 3 leaders of the US response went further. Infectious diseases expert Dr. Anthony Fauci going into modified quarantine, and those in charge of disease control and drug approval self-isolating for 2 weeks.
It is scary to go to work. I think that I'd be a lot safer if I was sitting at home than I would be going to the West Wing, but you know, it's a time when people have to step up and serve their country.
After former President Obama's criticism, the pandemic response was
an absolute chaotic disaster.
Donald Trump today fired back. We are getting great marks. Compare that to the Obama Sleepy Joe disaster known as H1N1 swine flu. Poor marks, bad polls, didn't have a clue.
A symbol of the growing outbreak was this tent hospital being set up in Central Park, but now it's being dismantled as the infection rate here falls to its lowest level since late March. But for New York State, that still means more than 500 new patients being admitted to hospital and more than 200 deaths every day.
Some parts of the state could start reopening by week's end, but the city will have to wait, leaving New Yorkers to make the most of their rooftops for now. In New York, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Australia's first international supermodel, Maggie Eckhart, has died. Eckhart auditioned for the Queen's dressmaker as a teenager. That led to a job in London and later work for Balenciaga in Paris and cover features for top fashion magazines. She later turned to television, hosting the Maggie Eckhart Show, and was one of ad man John Singleton's 6 wives. Ms Eckhart is believed to have been in her 80s. Now let's check on sport with Soda. What's coming up?
Well, Jan, we just saw before the Crows have copped a penalty for breaching those training protocols from the AFL. Well, we're going to hear from the club in just a moment too and see how they sit with the penalty. Also at the Power, David Koch apologises for lashing out at Mick Malthouse over his China comments. And if you're hungry for some live sport during these times, the K-League is back up and running in Korea, returned with this little gem. Very nice footwork. We'll have that and plenty more coming up soon.
OK, thanks, Soda. Shocking new details have emerged about the man at the centre of a freeway tragedy. After the break, the Porsche driver accused of filming a dying police officer fights for freedom. Also ahead, Britain's road out. Boris Johnson warns of a slow recovery. The best no-interest credit card deals to help get your finances back on track. Naked ambition, an acclaimed photographer's call to those in quarantine. And home at last for Danny, South Australia's best-dressed koala.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realised we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
I have been watching you, Matt.
I've lived in Broken Hill my whole life.
What bloody flies?
You got to sort of make your own fun a bit out here. Really got that community spirit.
I am Big Brother, and I've chosen you. Welcome to my brand new house.
I hope I'm a pretty likeable guy.
Let's hope you're ready for what I've got planned.
Big Brother, what are you playing at?
Who wins? You decide.
And I get 5 years cap price servicing with my new Corolla. Well, they're impressed.
We're here to keep you moving forward. That's why our Toyota dealerships and service centres are still open. Older feeling. Toyota.
Come on, everyone!
Donate some of your data to kids who need it most and power their potential.
When help is far from reach, when hope is lost in an instant, a familiar face finds you, experience reassures you, and innovation carries you. They're yours. They're Australia's Royal Flying Doctor Service.
OMG, what a night. I probably look like... Shut up, my skin looks amazing.
New Olay Retinol 24 Night Serum. Look how plump and bouncy. Girl, it really works.
One look at South Australia's CTP choices shows that SGIC wears the state colours on their sleeve. The wonders of data, eh? Choose SGIC, helping South Australians since 1972.
Guess who's on the telly?
Mummy! Hi, Mummy.
Hi, sweetheart.
Proudly fueling Australian hockey fans big and small. Sultana Brand. Full-on days start with full-on fibre.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
South Australia's messenger newspapers could soon have a new owner, with News Corp Australia looking to offload them. The media giant is in talks with Australian Community Media to sell more than 100 local and regional papers. The community papers have been a source of suburban news in SA for almost 60 years. Last week, News Corp's parent company posted a $1.5 billion loss for the March quarter. Disturbing new details have emerged about the alleged behaviour of the Porsche driver involved in a Melbourne freeway crash that killed 4 police officers. A bail hearing's been told he spent 3 minutes recording and narrating a video of the tragic crash scene.
A psychologist says Richard Pusey has fantasised about killing people, and police claim he boasted about speeding at 300 kilometres per hour on the Eastern Freeway. But his lawyer says he isn't a risk to the public. As Pusey sat flanked by guards and wearing a mask, prosecutors claimed he'd previously been kicked off a plane for calling an air hostess a fat cow, intimidated staff at a bank and threatened to drive a car down Burke Street in what police claim could have been a James Gargasoulis-style attack. Police concluded he takes a disturbing pleasure in causing others fear and discomfort. As for Pusey allegedly filming a dying officer, his lawyer said he may have been in shock and still traumatised. People react to trauma in different ways. The informant hit back. Yes, but they don't walk around filming and zooming in. His conduct in taking those videos and photos doesn't say shock. When asked what he should have been doing, police said he could be administering CBD CPR, well, you'd have to be trained in CPR. Police replied, your client is a registered nurse. A decision on his freedom will be made on Thursday. Chanel Vella, 7 News.
With Paris set to ease its social restrictions, the Eiffel Tower has been lit up to honour those who kept the city safe during the corona outbreak. It featured portraits of healthcare workers and a message which read, "Thank goodness you were there." The city will begin reopening shops and schools in coming hours. Some of the biggest names in comedy have come together at a distance for an online fundraiser. Will Ferrell got things started as the stars thanked essential workers and others.
Shout out to Jigsaw Puzzles, especially those edge pieces. Thanks for getting us started.
The event raised money for food charity Feeding America, aimed at helping children during the coronavirus pandemic. Well, we've seen plenty of lovely sunshine today, but Amelia, it sounds like we'll want the brolly tomorrow.
Jane, we've got a cold front on the way and it could deliver maybe 5 to 10 millimetres about the lower southeast, parts of KI and the hills, possibly about 5 about the city and across much of the south of the state too. Now, it comes after about 20 millimetres in the West Terrace gauge over the weekend, taking our rainfall total so far for the month to just over 30 millimetres. On average, we see a little under 70 during May. Temperature-wise, in our top today of 17.6 degrees was a degree below average. And if you notice the chill this morning, well, you were right, our low of 8.5 was below average as well. It was even colder out north, just 5.5 degrees at Parafield. Now, once we get through tomorrow's showers, there are more cold starts on the way as well. I'll have more in the full forecast a little later. Jane.
Thanks, Amelia. A mischievous koala who had a brush with death after covering himself in dirty engine oil is tonight back in the bush. Danny captured hearts after he had to be shaved and then wear clothes to keep him warm.
Curiosity almost killed Danny the koala back in October when he wound up at the vets in a sticky situation.
He'd gone into somebody's garage and pulled a load of oil down on himself.
The oil's toxicity meant his furry coat had to be shaved off. The mishap earned him the name Danny after John Travolta's character in Grease.
Apart from the fur on his head and his face, he'd got no fur whatsoever. Poor old Danny. So we had to make him outfits.
The marsupial became quite the fashionista. Shirts, dressing gowns, he even had his own wardrobe.
Then he got a skin infection and he had to have medicated baths 3 times a week, and he ended up with a bowel obstruction, which the vet fortunately got on top of.
After 7 long months, his coat finally grew back, so today he was ready to be free again.
Danny's little mate Charlie here will be joining him so they can settle into their life in the wild together.
And it's hoped the duo will eventually find some female companions.
Yeah, if there was a few girls in here, I'm sure Danny would be putting his hands up to have a girlfriend. He deserves one.
Casey Trelaw, 7 News.
Let's hope he finds one. Still to come on 7 News, a vile attack. The man accused of spitting on police after assaulting them with roof tiles. Slow and steady, Britain takes its first careful steps out of lockdown. It's hoped the relaxing of real estate rules will give buyers some divine inspiration. And how's this for a living room? The home with its very own indoor skate bowl.
People thought we were absolutely bonkers. It was a bit of a snap decision on my part.
They never imagined their home would get a reaction like this.
Oh, I do like to be wowed.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculously sophisticated.
Oh, wow.
Let me have a look at your wow face.
Wow.
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 Wow. Wow factor.
But the real wow will be the scores.
It's a 9. A 9. It's a 9. We have joint leaders. Wow.
I think we have wow.
Only one can win. Who will it be? On House Rules, tonight 7:30.
Michael Weldon here, back again with another What's for Dinner recipe. Today is my pork and prawn pot sticker dumplings with a spicy dipping sauce. The first thing we need to do is make our filling. First of all, the white and light green part of some spring onions. And next I've got some coriander. What have I got? 5 or 6 sprigs. Now we're going to use the leaves later on when we make the dressing, but for now we just want the little crunchy coriander stems. Now we're going to slice our ginger nice and thin. Take out a few of our little matches of ginger, put them into a second bowl. That's the bowl for our dipping sauce. Then the rest of our ginger, we're going to chop the other way into nice fine little dice. Now we're going to go in with some garlic, some pork mince, and then we've got our prawns. I've just got the beautiful Aussie prawn tail meat you get at Coles, peeled for you already. And all we're going to do is roughly chop this. So I've got some sesame oil, white pepper, splash of soy sauce, little pinch of sea salt, pinch of sugar as well. Just mix this together to combine. All right, so I've got our little wonton wrappers here. Now this is the fun part, filling in the center, water on two of the edges, then fold together. And when you're folding, you want to push out all the air, then just pinch it together and fold it over. All right, so we've filled all of our dumplings. Now it's time to cook them. I'm just gonna spread the oil all over the bottom of that pan and then start filling up with our dumplings. So while our dumplings fry, we're gonna make a really quick dipping sauce. In this bowl, I've got some green beets and spring onion, and also that really finely sliced ginger from the start. Gonna add soy sauce, sesame oil, black vinegar, teaspoon of sugar, and tablespoon of whatever your favourite chili oil is. Now if you have a look at that, you pick one up, you see that nice fried crispy base. That's exactly what we want to get our pot stickers to before we steam them. So we've fried them. Now the second part of the cooking is the steaming. So I'm going to pour over like a cup of water, then I'm going to chuck a lid on. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. I'm going to turn the heat off our dumplings. These are ready to plate up, ready for us to eat. Top that with our dipping sauce over the top, a little bit of coriander. That is my recipe of pork and prawn dumplings, cooked pot sticker style with a spicy dipping sauce. For this recipe and many other What's for Dinner recipes, check out the Coles website. Guys, this is What's for Dinner. Happy eating.
A man's been charged with spitting in the face of police officers in Sydney. They were called to a home in response to a domestic violence concern. The resident, a 24-year-old man, climbed onto the roof of the property and began throwing tiles at police. It's alleged when he was being taken to the station, he spat in the face of two police officers. He faced court today and didn't apply for bail. Britain's taking its first careful steps out of lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has given a national address warning the process will be extraordinarily slow, claiming anything else would be madness.
After nearly 8 weeks in lockdown, Britain's Prime Minister put the UK on a path out. Not yet, but soon.
No, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week.
Millions of Britons watched a 14-minute explanation of what Boris Johnson called the first sketch of a roadmap to lift the lockdown, encouraging a return to work if necessary, but not to use public transport. And as Britain faces its worst economic downturn in 300 years, shops will stay shut until at least June, pubs until at least July.
This campaign against the virus has come at colossal cost to our way of life.
And incoming visitors will face 2 weeks quarantine, but not yet. The death toll across Britain now standing at nearly 32,000. Tragic, Boris Johnson said. Officially, 4,000 people a day across Britain are testing positive to coronavirus, but government advisors have told the Prime Minister the real number is closer to 18,000 people a day still falling sick. And Boris Johnson's been warned if he lifts the lockdown too soon, 100,000 Britons could be dead from coronavirus by the end of the year. The Queen is reportedly taking special precautions, now staying at Windsor indefinitely, giving up her traditional summer holiday at Balmoral with public engagements cancelled to ride out what Boris Johnson says is a vicious threat to Britain. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
You can again share the experience of looking for your dream home from today. Open inspections are back in the game and agents have a few gems they've been waiting to show the market.
Look what's emerging from lockdown. The Prince of Party Pads in Port Adelaide, attached to a 3-storey modern house. They're asking most of $1 million. It worked well for Lauren's 18th.
Just a whole lot of people.
And for countless rowdy crowds. Great when there's a gang, but for empty nesters Rin and husband Adam...
A little bit too big. 800 square metres of vacuuming is just a touch on the excessive side.
There's interest. One sees an art gallery cafe, another a mechanics workshop, another a family retreat.
The fire is just beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Down the road, a converted church. Save your secrets for the confessional. It's completely open plan. The main bedroom's an offering on the altar the Rosewater congregation prayed at each weekend a century ago. These days, they're coming for open inspections after a few weeks' break.
From a boom in January, February, the first 3 weeks in March, and then it just completely fizzled.
The only bathroom is an unholy hike from the altar on a cold winter's morning, but at least it's private. And there's an offer of almost $500,000.
A single lady from the hills.
So, a couple of interesting places on the market. Your shot. Tim Noonan, 7 News. It went in.
Don't think you're supposed to pot it that way though, Tim. Now, speaking of real estate, you won't have seen a lounge room quite like this one. The 3-storey Queensland home features its very own skate bowl.
It's the coolest. We've got an indoor concrete skateboard bowl. I've never seen anything like it in Brisbane, and I'd be shocked if there was anything like it in Australia.
Fair call. The property's up for auction in June. Still to come on 7 News, the simple saliva test that can detect the earliest stages of throat cancer. Aussie researchers are at the forefront of that world-first discovery. We'll have details next. Also ahead, seized from criminals, the watches, diamonds and gems going for a steal. Isolated Aussies urged to get their gear off, all in the name of art. For your official local source of COVID-19 information and the range of support services available, go to sa.gov.au.
Who is that anyway?
I don't know. He's a bit of a troublemaker.
Tonight, look who lands in the Bay.
He brings trouble.
Here's your brother.
Tane's caught up in a life when it landed me in jail and my brother dead.
Better get used to seeing me around.
Home and Away, next on 7.
From May 11, COVID-19 restrictions are being eased on regional travel and some outdoor activities and public gatherings across the state. Current social distancing advice still applies. Visit sa.gov.au today, keeping SA safe and strong.
Great Wall End of Financial Year Value is now on. Get a brand new petrol dual cab or diesel single cab with a free tray and a 5-year warranty from only $19,990. That's right, from just $19,990 drive away. Great Wall, it's built to work.
There are many names for people living in rural areas. There's Sparkies, Chippies, Fireys and Bikies. Whatever the name, it can be harsh living on the land. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas, garages and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough out here, they'll be strong enough anywhere. And now you can enjoy massive savings across our entire range. It's Olympic Industries' end of financial year sale. Don't miss out. Order now. Olympic Industries, built to last.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
The Australian Government is supporting individuals and households during the coronavirus crisis. We've introduced the $550 coronavirus supplement, doubling income support for many. It means those on the job seeker payment could receive up to $1,100 a fortnight. We're also providing 2 $750 payments to veterans, pensioners and other households receiving income support. These automatic payments will support up to 5 million Australian households. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Australian researchers have used a saliva sample to diagnose previously undetectable throat cancer. It's hoped the finding will one day lead to a screening program.
This young doctor detected what an MRI couldn't: throat cancer, so small, so early, using only saliva.
This is
really, really exciting.
I'll remember that moment forever.
The man was part of a trial by biomedical scientists at QUT, one of 630 healthy, cancer-free people who gave a saliva sample every 6 months. Researchers measured levels of the cancer-causing human papillovirus, and his levels were rising. He had no pain, no symptoms, just irregular tonsils. He had them out.
The ENT surgeon, he asked me, come to Royal Brisbane right now.
They'd found a tiny cancer.
He actually came and hugged me, and he said I saved his life.
An immediate survivor of a disease he didn't know he had because of a trial by a 30-year-old researcher.
Yeah, I told my parents definitely.
We need the numbers to prove that it works effectively in the population.
They've now applied for financial help to fund a new trial. Less than $1 million is needed. It's the same price as treating 4 people for head and neck cancer. More people now have it than cervical cancer.
It saved the health system so much money.
They're still testing and tracking trial participants in their own time. Erin Edwards, 7 News.
Buying the right gift for that special someone can often cost a fortune, but there is a cheaper way to get your hands on a gem. A consignment of items seized by police is going under the hammer from tomorrow, with prices described as a steal.
Direct from the criminal underworld, these treasured showpieces give a unique insight into the tastes of crooks with an appetite for the high end, who've been caught cutting corners to pocket their trophies, made wealthy with the proceeds of crime. For their former owners, it didn't end well, seized by the Australian Federal Police.
Somebody's done something that they shouldn't have done. They've had those things taken away from them. I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
A total of more than $1 million worth of jewellery will now be going up for auction online, discounted, we're told, up to 70% off. From watches and bangles.
There's an 18-carat rose gold Cartier bangle. Approximately $15,000 would be the retail of that. Our auction estimate is about $4,000 to $6,000.
Bit of a bargain.
A very good bargain.
To rings and necklaces.
Here we have the Cartier Trinity ring. White gold, yellow gold and rose gold. Approximately $25,000 retail.
Some that haven't even been worn. This one's still got the tags.
Yes, it does.
But because of coronavirus, this auction won't be happening in the traditional way. Interested bidders should register with First Estate Auctions for the online bidding to start from 10 a.m. tomorrow, and all proceeds will go back to the Commonwealth Government. Evan Batten, 7 News.
The temptation of credit is the downfall of many Australians struggling to get ahead. Still to come, the cards offering relief in a time of financial hardship. But there's a catch. That story soon on 7 News. A photographer best known for capturing large groups of naked people has come up with a way to keep working without breaking quarantine laws. Instead of heading outside, he's going virtual.
A new nude project inspired by coronavirus quarantine. American photographer Spencer Tunick normally pushes the boundaries outdoors. Now, with social distancing, he's moving his artwork indoors and online. Stay Apart Together aims to get 100 Aussies to take their gear off, taking a screenshot instead of a photo.
I will orchestrate people into different positions the same way that I've done it in public space.
The artwork will take place on Zoom and will swap the photographer's typical backdrops, like the Opera House, for participants' own homes, making it slightly more comfortable to disrobe. The American photographer has produced more than 120 nude group installations in more than 30 countries.
Do something different, be part of an artwork.
To volunteer for his latest project, you just fire off an email. His message, simple yet powerful: stay strong and united. Samantha Brett, 7 News.
A bear with a sweet tooth has given holidaymakers a fright in the US. They say the bear tapped on the window of their rental cabin before letting itself in. The group ducked for cover as the visitor looked around, leaving 3 friends outside. Police were called to evict the unwanted guest, who apparently did get away with some sweet stuff like M&M's soda.
They're still dark on Goldilocks, the 3 of them, I think, aren't they?
I reckon they would
Getting
be.
some revenge.
Good line. Now, Ben Hart's been hit for 6, but the club pretty lightly touched.
Yeah, well, obviously they breached the training protocols the AFL have in place at the moment. We saw earlier, Ben Hart, he's got a 6-week suspension. And the players...
And the club?
Well, the club, nothing. The players suspended sentences of 1 game. So, well, perhaps they got off lightly, but it wasn't a deliberate advantage that they
Certainly
were trying to gain, but they have made a silly error. Hey, also coming up, Port Chairman David Koch takes a backward step on his attack on Mick Malthouse. Top flight footy is back in Korea. This player made the most of the attention. And the surprise challenger to Iron Mike in a throwback to the 90s, but is the real deal biting off more than he can chew?
It's gonna knock you off your feet.
Tiger King shocked the world, but you only heard half the story.
Pair of snitches.
The key players uncensored.
Wish I could have done more, Tim.
Shocking footage exposed. Our burning questions answered.
He was killed.
The exclusive Tiger King. What really went down?
Shh.
Tuesday, 7:30, only on 7.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Adapting to our new normal has been challenging, but we've all been doing our part to make it work. From the frontline responders and those taking care of the essentials, to the rest of us, keeping our distance and doing the right thing. It hasn't been easy, but we're making progress, so let's not undo all the good. Download the COVID Safe app and keep playing your part to help stop the spread.
Authorised by the Government of South Australia, Adelaide.
A lot of us are spending more time at home. Using a lot more electricity and internet. Unfortunately, iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation. But we could help shrink those household bills. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
You know, I found a dead body yesterday. Damn, these white girls love trouble.
No mercy for an honest man.
Trisha Jane Doyle, Isla Bay in Provincetown. Gunshot.
No angels have I.
These are bad people. Stay away from my case.
I could have saved this girl. There's only one person you need to save.
Watch out. Tide's coming in.
The brand new series, Hightown. Now streaming only on Stan.
A few days ago, John had muscle pain. Then he discovered Voltaren Emel Gel. It relieves pain 2 times faster and reduces inflammation. Voltaren Emel Gel, now with a no-mess applicator.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot of questions right now, which is why you should speak to a professional accountant who's trained in planning and cash flow management strategies. For further support, contact a professional accountant today.
The BHP Vital Resources Fund is providing financial support to regional health services to help them deliver the essential services their communities need to meet the coronavirus challenge. For more information, visit bhp.com/vitalresources.
Hello again. Well, as you saw earlier, the Crows avoided a hefty fine for their Barossa training bungle. Theo Doropoulos joins us. Theo, the AFL has punished the 16 players and especially assistant coach Benny Hart.
He's paid the heaviest price, Soda. He was in Tanunda overseeing the Crows isolation camp. He's been given a 6-week ban, which has started today. Now, what this means is that Hart can't assume his role at the Crows until the end of June 22. That's probably after the season restarts. Now, here are the 16 players who are based at the Novotel Golf Resort. They've all been given a suspended 1-match ban, which will hover over their heads until the end of the 2020 season. Hartigan, Mackesy, Duday, Himmelberg and Murphy are the most likely of that group to be in the club's best 22. So here's how the Crows have responded to the AFL's decision.
Yeah, we owned the error. We know that we shouldn't be training in any more than pairs, and we accepted that we breached that, and we're upfront with that. And thankfully, the AFL, through their investigation, has shown that certainly it was inadvertent, and it wasn't a deliberate and certainly no design on us getting any competitive advantage.
Ben Hart finds himself in unfamiliar territory. In his 311-game playing career, he was never fined or suspended by the AFL.
Oh, he's really disappointed. Right from the moment that we were involved in any of this, he took ownership. He was honest, as you'd expect he would be. And as Ben's concerned, has never been for himself. It was always been for the players.
And the Victorian Premier, Daniel Andrews, has helped kickstart the AFL's 2020 restart.
Training resuming paves the way for footy to be back, and I think we all want that.
Victorian AFL clubs can now train in groups of 10 from Wednesday.
Very positive news. We take all the good news we can at the moment, and it's like the fog is finally lifting and we're starting to see some blue sky.
But WA-based players are in quarantine until as long as May 21 and in SA until May 18 at the latest. So Victorian clubs face a wait.
Clearly, teams are subject to different regulations of their state, so the AFL will need to ensure we prepare and resume training on a level playing field.
Paul Childs, 7 News.
Well, going around the grounds, and Swan superstar Buddy Franklin is the big winner from the AFL shutdown. Sydney's confirmed the four-time Coleman medalist has recovered from knee surgery and will line up for the Swans in round 2.
I mean, he's been running and completing all of the training that we've asked him to. So he's ready to go and looking forward to a restart.
Sam Reid is also back running after knee surgery and is also in the mix when the season resumes in mid-June. Well, David Koch admits he went a step too far during his feud with Mick Malthouse over the Powers China experiment. The Premiership coach believes the concept is a waste of time, and that prompted Koch to suggest Malthouse's views were motivated by racism.
With comments like that, if it was up to Mick Malthouse, he'd bring back the White Australia policy of the 50s. Sort of, if Mick Malthouse made a comment on footy, maybe I'd give it a passing glance of attention, but when it comes to China, absolutely zero relevance whatsoever.
Well, this morning, the Port Adelaide chairman had this to say about that outburst.
I probably took a step too far on the White Australia, but I wanted to make a point. So, yes, I was coming to the defence of our Chinese strategy, but also coming to the defence of our Chinese community, saying that we have enormous links with China and we've got to foster it.
Rightio. Well, fans desperate for a soccer fix have welcomed the return of Korea's K-League, and they were treated to something extra special last night.
And he plays it in! Oh, what an incredible goal! Goal of the month anywhere in the world, but there's not been much competition.
Good point. Cho Jae-won's incredible back heel was the highlight of the first round in more than 2 months due to COVID-19 restrictions. All games were played in empty stadiums. That is very nice. Well, he scoffed at offers to fight Barry Hall, Paul Gallen and Sonny Bill Williams, but there is a real challenger on the horizon for the rejuvenated Mike Tyson. 57-year-old legend Evander, the real deal Holyfield, wants a third fight against Iron Mike. Their last bout in '97 ended in controversy when Tyson bit off a chunk of Holyfield's ear.
4 years older than him, and, you know, it would be no problem.
53-year-old Tyson is coming out of retirement for some exhibition fights. Jeez, he still packs a punch. It was called Bite Fight, remember? $3 million fine for Mike for biting the ear, and then lost his licence to box for a year in Nevada.
Think about the late Muhammad Ali. That's what I'd advise them.
Well, yeah.
To your money now, thanks, Soda. The share market started the week higher with major finance firms among the top performers. The Aussie dollar's buying 65 US cents, 52 pence and $1.06 New Zealand. Next on 7 News, credit card deals to ease the pressure, helping customers get their finances back on track.
And after a bit of sunshine today, we've got showers on the way tomorrow. All the details coming up next.
This is what the world's been waiting for.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent, Wednesday.
Look after your health online at health365.com.au with over 700 of your favourite Australian-owned health, vitamin and skincare products online, home delivered fast. Buy smart, buy Australian. Online at health365.com.au.
Tough times don't excuse tougher times at home. Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence. If you or someone you know is affected, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free, confidential advice, support and counselling for women and men, contact 1-800-RESPECT. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Everyone loves the bay.
But how about that view from Roslyn Park?
Country blinds, indoor blinds, curtains and shutters too. Plus 9 mobile selection vehicles to show them to you just about anywhere.
Everybody loves their country.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mum.
Mars. Enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good.
When your hair's not weighed down, you can do the day. Introducing new Pantene 0% silicone. Unlike silicone found in ordinary shampoos, new Pantene has nourishing lipids. The difference is clear. New Pantene 0% silicone formula gives you lightweight, smooth hair that lasts through to the next day. Do 0% silicone. Do new Pantene.
A great pioneer of modern nursing once said, "The greatest heroes are those who do their duty in the daily grind of domestic affairs whilst the world whirls." In 2020, the year of the nurse and midwife, 200 years after Florence Nightingale's birth, we say thank you to the nurses, midwives and personal care workers who, in the face of both tragedy and joy, share their care and skills every day of every year. You are our real heroes.
Ready for any challenge. Battery power, made by Stihl. Only from your local Stihl dealer.
Want to sell something for instant cash? We're open. Looking to buy from a huge range of quality second-hand goods for less? We're open. Cash Converters. Find us online or visit us in store.
It doesn't matter where you're going, if you enjoy getting there. The BMW X1 S-Drive 18i from $49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Who is that anyway?
I don't know. He's a bit of a troublemaker. Tonight, look who lands in the bay.
He brings trouble.
Here's your brother.
Tane's caught up in a life when it landed me in jail and my brother dead.
Better get used to seeing me around.
Home and Away, next on 7.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
During these tough times, credit cards have become even more handy to juggle household expenses. Providers are now giving those drowning in credit card debt breathing space with no interest deals on offer.
They're tempting, especially when times are tough.
At the height of it, it was probably about $8,500.
Avid traveller David Jackson opted for a balance transfer, which is moving your debt to a low or no interest credit card.
It's about discipline and being able to pay that off.
Usually this is a year or 2 years, but right now we can see balance transfer offers in the market up to 26 months.
The catch is, if you make further purchases, the interest rate will hit you hard. But used correctly, balance transfer is a ladder out of debt. Australians, on average, have $2,909 on credit cards. Finder.com.au has scoured the market for the best 5. Coles is the top pick, saving you $437 on a debt of $2,909 over 18 months. St George Vertigo will save you $371. City Rewards $357 over 26 months. HSBC $330 and Virgin $324.
That helped me in my instance in getting on top of my credit card debt.
You need to pay it off in that period.
Balance transfer, if used right, could be the breathing space you need coming out of COVID-19. Steve Titmus, 7 News.
Time now for more on the weather. And Amelia, we've got a change on the way tomorrow.
Jane, we do, so hopefully everyone's made the most of today's sunshine. Good weather for camping as well, and I'm sure that's something many people will be turning their minds to now that rules are relaxing a little. This Bendigo grandfather's been making do, camping in his backyard. He's cooking his own camp dinner and he's even trying fishing.
Wow, that's a good size one. That's a good size yellow belly, that one.
Right now in the city it's just 14 degrees with temperatures, as we've heard, a little below average today. That was the case statewide as well. The mercury dropped to 0.8 at Clare. Nullarbor was the warmest with a top of 22.1, with the odd shower falling about the lower southeast, and as we've heard, more is on the way too, with a cold front set to clip the south tomorrow. Another strong clearing high is around the corner though, and it'll move into the picture on Wednesday. A dominant high is keeping the east clear as well, down to -1 tonight in Canberra. 14's the top there. Back home, and skies will stay clear across our far north as well, with a shower possible about the west coast and across Lower Eyre Peninsula and areas south of Clare across to Murray Bridge. So Mount Gambier could collect up to 10 millimetres. 16's the forecast top there tomorrow. Clear skies will lead to another crisp start though about the mid-north and Flinders, down to 5 degrees tonight in Clare, Hawker and in Orroroo. Out by the coast, and strong winds are tipped about the lower southeast, while north to northwesterly winds will hit 20 knots on metro waters in the morning, shifting southwest to southerly after that front passes through during the evening, seas up to 1.5 metres. In the city, and a top of 19 degrees is on the way. The day will get off to a nice start. It's not really until late afternoon that we've got a chance of showers. We could see a couple of millimetres by the evening. Then that high gets to work and skies will clear quickly. That'll lead to some cold starts, down to 7 degrees overnight into Thursday and Friday, with tops of 16 degrees tipped from Wednesday. So Jane, looks like we'll need to rug up, maybe take a cue from Danny the Koala's book perhaps.
Indeed, it was very crisp even this morning, so those 7 and 8s are looking very cool indeed. Thanks, Amelia. That's all the news for now. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later. Until then, good night.